Hello and welcome to yet another story on Inspo Vibes with SK. Today's story is dedicated to Savitri. So, bored of 4 months of lockdown and not stepping out, as the lockdown eased last weekend, I decided to just drive out to the countryside. When I reached the outskirts of the city, I found a small tea shop and stopped by for a cup of chai. As I was sipping my tea, I looked around that small little tea shop, so beautifully done up with Warli paintings, different stories, different scenarios on all the walls, the doors, the windows, the pillars, and even starting to move out to the ceiling. So I looked at that lady and I asked her, who is the artist? Who's been doing this wonderful Warli paintings? So she said, Madam, you are looking at her. I am Savitri and all these Warli paintings are my creation. And I said, OMG, what an artist! What are you doing wasting your time just making tea here? You know, you could make good money. You have such talent in your hands. So she just looked down at her hands, went silent for a while, and had 2 tears rolling down her cheeks. I understood there was something more to her story than meets the eye. So I decided to hang around and talk to her a bit. I was anyways looking for somebody to talk to, having totally been cut off in terms of socializing for the last about 4 months. So I said, Savitri, would you like to talk about it? So something, probably it was the sunset time, it was my appreciation or whatever, she decided to talk to me. And her story, believe me, touched my heart, and even now as I think about it, I'm getting goosebumps. So she's been married almost 2 decades. Her husband, like a typical country bum, worthless, good for nothing, but thinks no end of himself and every evening gets drunk. When he gets drunk, his frustration towards life for unfulfilled dreams builds up that anger in him, and who else is in the house to vent out that anger on? And there is Savitri. So he releases his volley of physical and verbal abuse, aggression, anger on Savitri. After he is spent, goes off to sleep. So what does this Savitri do? Every morning when she wakes up after a night of receiving her husband's anger, she has 2 choices. Either she could give it back, she could run away in anger and say, I'm not going to take this. Or what she does, channelize that energy within to create these masterpieces. And when I heard that, I said, wow, this is a new perspective on anger, because all this while, like most of us, I too believed that anger is something bad. Anger is a negative emotion and anger needs management. But this young, humble woman, Savitri, taught me that anger is not good or bad. It's what we do with it is good or bad. So here I am today to talk about anger and what I understood after I came back and did a little bit of research and read about it. So I'm going to present it to you in 3 parts. What is this anger? Why do we feel angry? The 3 types of responses when we are angry, and in the end leave you with the thought and the choice of How do you want to deal with it when you get angry? And I'm sure all of us do get angry sometime or the other. May not be every day, but ever once in a while, everybody does feel this emotion. So as per the dictionary, anger is basically an extreme emotional, intense emotional state which is triggered by some feeling of hurt, threat, or an overall sense of having lack of control. So it's basically hormonal chemical locha mere bhai that happens inside our body because of some external stimulus. Sometimes that stimulus also may be within our brains when we have been thinking and overthinking of something, and slowly the anger begins to build. But the bottom line is, when things don't go our way, when people don't behave the way we want them to, when people do not live up to the expectations that we set for them, we feel a sense of loss of control, and that triggers this emotion called anger. So now let's look at what happens when we get angry. We start to feel heightened heartbeat, palpitations even, lot of rush of blood into the face and to the head. Your cheeks become hot, your pupils start to dilate, and if you continue in that state of heightened emotion, you can also get high blood pressure. So getting high blood pressure, getting this high stress, and almost the feeling of your head exploding, tell me, if you continue to feel this over and over again, will you not impact your health someday? So in that sense, our reaction to that anger actually will do us more harm than anybody else. So this is what anger is. Why do we feel this anger? And now let's look at the 3 types of anger so that we can learn to choose our response to this emotion called anger. So basically, there are 3 types. One is the passive aggression of anger. That is, you do feel angry, but you withdraw. You clamp up, you become silent, you start sulking, you start procrastinating and not doing something that you were supposed to do simply because you're angry with the person who asked you to do it. You wait for the person to notice that you are sulking and you are silent and you're not doing what they want you to do. And all because you are angry, all because it stems from the fact of that loss of control that you are feeling. In the end, by all your sulking and going silent, who's suffering? You are multiplying the negative hormones, the unhappy hormones in your body, impacting your own aura, making it very low vibe and negative. Second one is active aggression. Someone said something and I immediately jump into a rage. I start demonstrating by my verbal abuses or physically abusing, and I show open aggression. Most of the time, people think by choosing to show this open active aggression, we will put the fear in the other person, and that will trigger the response that we want. It will win back the control that we feel we lost, and therefore we got angry. However, getting violent, whether it is abusing verbally or physically, does more harm to you, my friend, than to anybody else. The third one is assertive anger, which means yes, you do feel upset. Yes, you do feel angry. Yes, you do feel a sense of loss of control over a situation. You do feel, what the hell? Why didn't things happen my way? However, you do not react in either the fight or the flight mode, you decide to respond. Which means even in that state of anger, your mind is at the right place. It tells you that you are angry, you need to deal with the subject and not simply react and vent out. Reacting and venting is a very knee-jerk, instantaneous reaction, may not necessarily get you the desired results. But thinking about the situation, thinking about what in that situation is making you angry, and then finding a solution to that situation so that it turns in your favor, gives you back that sense of being in control, is the right way, is the way I would like to preach. And that's what I would like to thank Savitri for showing me that yes, it's very much possible to channel this anger. So we know anger is an emotional state as a response to stimuli. Second, why do we get angry? Whenever things don't happen the way we expect them to, we feel a loss of control, or we don't have a handle on a situation or a person, and so we get angry. When we get angry, we could fall under one of the three categories: passively aggressive, actively aggressive, or assertively angry. Now this Savitri has shown that anger per se is neither good nor bad. It's our way of dealing with that anger that is good or bad. So her way is to channel that rush of emotion, that extra energy, and that sudden surge of hormones and adrenaline into something creative, something beautiful. So when she is subjected to physical and verbal abuse at night, when her husband drinks and comes, lets loose on her, the morning after she wakes up, takes out all that emotional upheaval that she was feeling into creating these beautiful stories on walls. When she spends the entire day in creating one piece of that Varli painting, she feels in control because her hand is in control, her mind is in control, she is only focusing on something beautiful, and that creation, when it comes out, gives her the sense of power, gives her the sense of being in control, and helps her to create masterpieces out of situations where she could have very easily either given it back to him or ended up being frustrated and maybe someday ended her life. So my friends, I leave the choice to you. You want to be passively aggressive, actively aggressive, or assertively aggressive like Savitri, and whatever you choose, remember, anger is neither good nor bad. It's our response to that anger that is good or bad. And yes, if our response is more instantaneous, aggressive, it's going to do us more harm in terms of emotional and physiological health in the long run than it will to anybody else. If we keep on getting angry, people will get immune to it and say, ha, isko to jab dekho gussa hi aata hai, iska gussa kya, you know, they will even block you mentally. So who's at harm? You yourself. So if you love yourself even this much, if you want to be healthy, if you want to be full of positivity and want to protect your aura about you, think about what Savitri does, and the choice is yours. So with that, I end my today's story. You take care, be safe, don't forget to like, to share, and if not already done, do subscribe to my channel and keep watching Till we meet again next Wednesday with yet another story, this is SK signing off. Adios. Bye bye. Be safe.